Virgin will conceive and bear a son, called him Emmanuel. Usually little Emmanuel is holding a little scroll, which is meant to be with that on. So which way do we move it?
That way. Your way. Push it that way, yeah.
Oh no, that one no. That one isn't of reference. That one is not of reference. That's no. Now this is the inside of a small little Byzantine chapel. And here, again, you've got the royal doors, and you've got icon of Mary and the icon of Christ either side. And that has a little curtain beside the sanctuary gates. On the sanctuary gates, you'll usually have what's called the Annunciation, Mary and the angel, or you might have the 4 apostles, or you might have the 2 saints whom the liturgies are named after, St Basil and St John Chrysostom. This is a very simplified little iconostasis. And that's a centre where the icon of the day is placed. Right. That's another little close-up of it. And that is, of course, in the dome, when you get the Pantocrator, Christ, who is to come. Again, that's another view of the inside of the little Byzantine chapel.
Sister, where are these churches?
This one is in our mother house in Belgium, actually.
In Belgium?
Yes. It's not reference. This is an icon of Christ in the centre, and round there you've got scenes from his life, starting with the Annunciation, the Nativity, the presentation in the temple, Christ's baptism, Christ raising Lazarus, the Transfiguration, the entrance into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, and the Last Supper, and the crucifixion, and what we were talking about, Mary Magdalene meeting Jesus in the garden, mother-bearing women, and the resurrection, Christ raising Lazarus and Adam and Eve, which I'll talk about tomorrow, and doubting Thomas. Right. This is the icon of the Nativity of the Virgin, birth of Virgin of Mother of God. And so you see Anna, who gave birth to the Mother of God, it's traditional, it says in one of the Apocryphal Gospels, and she's lying on the couch pondering, and the babe is being washed by the midwife and the nurse, and Joachim, her husband, is behind her, and these are the little maidens coming to minister to her after the birth. This is the presentation of the Mother of God in the temple, according to one of the Apocryphal Gospels. The Mother of God was taken to the temple, and she was received by the priest and stayed in the temple, fed by an angel, until she was espoused to Joseph. Now, we think that's a bit of a silly story, but you've got to think of the meaning behind it, is that her purity was intact, and she was always willing to listen to the Lord, to God rather. This is the Annunciation, where you get Mary coming in, the angel coming in very swiftly, with her hands out, but calmly too. Excuse me. And Mary, the colours that we were talking about this morning, the red outer garment and the blue inner garment. And the building is representative of the church, not really a place where this took it in, because icons were primarily painted for the church, for use in liturgy. And Mary is having her hands, well, usually you see spinning. Sometimes she has a hand up in surprise. I don't know, how would you feel if an angel came to you? And then here we've got Mary. Usually she should really be lying on a red couch. This is a bit of Western influence, I'm afraid, in the Nativity. Christ in the cave where he was born, wrapped in white swaddling garments to show that light has come into our darkened world. And here we've got the kings, they're on the way. In this corner you've got Joseph sitting in a rather moody way, and he's being tempted with nasty thoughts about the virgin birth by the devil, dressed up as a shepherd. On the other side You'll have the baby being bathed by the midwife and nurse, and the bath where this is taking place is in the form of a baptismal font to remind the Christian of his or her baptism. You've got the angels singing praises to God, angels telling the shepherds to go and see what's happened, and the king's not always there. Sometimes, or if they are, they're very small, they're on the way. So that's what you always will see in the icon of the Nativity. This little opening, as we've got here and here, is a little sphere, the opening of the heavens. In this case, you will have the Spirit coming down. In this case, you'll have a star coming down towards the cape. This is the presentation of Christ in the temple, being met by Simeon, or by Simeon, and he's got his hand covered, holding Christ as a babe, to show that he's holding something very holy. And usually Christ is with an adult face, again, because Christ is God made man. And you've got Joseph behind with his turtle doves, and Anna, the prophetess, in the temple with her scroll of the prophecy on. And this is taking place just before the sanctuary. Here we've got the baptism of Christ, full immersion into the River Jordan, being baptised by John the Baptist, and angels standing in adoration with their hands covered. Sometimes it's thought they may be holding the clothes for Christ to put in when he comes out. When I see this one, I can always think of a friend of mine. She became Orthodox, but then she left the church. Anyway, it's another story. But she got irritated. I was saying this morning how, in the church, the children are meant to feel at home, so they're sort of left, not free to run about, but more or less, so that they can feel that church is a welcoming place for them. And she got very irritated being down in the Russian cathedral one day because of all the children running around, so she phoned the parish priest. Now, she has it, but she used to have a very, very, very bad temper and anger. No good confronting her with a tempered anger. So luckily, when she phoned the priest, he was out, so she left a message on his phone. So when she came back, she found he had a message from him on the phone, and he said, "Sandra," he said, "I thought long about your confrontation about what you mentioned, and I've thought a long time about it," he said. "Well, as you know, in the Orthodox Church, the little babies are baptised with full immersion 3 times. I suggest on the 3rd time, we don't let them come up." She had some last version. Like I said, Father John, I think you'll have trouble with the mothers. But again, here you see the little sphere and the dove coming down. Heavens open. Not going to be too far, I think. Yeah, next one. This is a special one because this is from the Church of the Beatitudes in Israel. And this is a special significance because the church is in Galilee. And of course, Christ's first miracle was the Cana of Galilee. So Abu Elias wanted that to be included in the iconostasis. So there are flexibilities, within the whole setup. This is the Transfiguration. Here we see Christ with the mandorla, which means the heavens opening behind him. That can be either in an almond shape or a circle shape. And in this case, Christ is dressed in white, because that's what we read in the Gospel. He's on the little mountain with the prophet Elijah and Moses. I always say, if you don't know who is who, usually the prophet Elijah has very rough hair, and Moses is holding the tablets of the law. Here we have the 3 disciples. Peter being very impetuous with his hand up because the light is so bright and wanting to stay there on the mountain, and the other 2 disciples falling down because it's too much to take. In fact, in 2 of the hymns, the Orthodox Church gives an answer why it doesn't ask saying hymns, but you ask them why did Jesus only take Peter, James and John up the mountain. And one of the hymns says, Christ took Peter, James and John up the mountain to see as far as they could see. And I think that gives a little answer for us, why those 3 disciples, and for them it was too much. Sometimes you'll have these little openings, not always. This is one, Christ taking the disciples up the mountain, and Christ coming down the mountain. This is the raising of Lazarus. It's a big feast, which occurs Saturday before Palm Sunday, or the week Saturday. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, a Saturday before Palm Sunday generally, either the week before or just before Palm Sunday. And it's a mini resurrection feast, because the raising of Lazarus is a mini resurrection, Christ's resurrection. So here we see Christ with his arm extended, and you see him dressed in the colouring we looked at this morning, the red inner garment and the blue outer garment, and the stole, and he's saying, unbind him. So these 2 chaps are unbinding him. Here we see Mary Magdalene and other Mary at Jesus' feet. And here we see people coming out from the city to see what has taken place. Never seen a person being raised from the dead before. This, again, is the big feast which we all keep to, of Christ going into Jerusalem, Palm Sunday. It's a very calm one. When I saw that, I thought, well, everybody was so excited and jumping around, and people got very calm looking at Christ rising on the donkey, and people coming out with their little branches, and Peter leading the apostles, the little chap cutting down branches, and the little children taking their clothes off and donkey to move along, a little child feeding a donkey with a carrot. But the idea is that Jesus has come to bring peace. That's why you get such a calm feeling on Palm Sunday. His message is peace, not war or fighting. And here you've got always in the entry in Jerusalem these beautiful buildings all grouped together within the city. Very modern. This is the crucifixion, which speaks for itself. The beloved disciple John and Mary and the other women. And the black in icons means nothing. Little skull underneath. Christ has greater victory. Now, in the crucifixion in icons, you'll always have a very calm face on Christ. Not one of these sort of medieval, agonised looking faces. Why? Because Christ conquered death and brought peace. It's the message of peace. And here you have this Roman soldier, the first one who acknowledged Christ. Truly, this is the Son of God. Not a Jew, not a follower of Christ, but a Roman soldier. And here we got what now is the resurrection, called descent into hell. And that is taken from, again, one of the Apocryphal Gospels. I love the meaning of that, actually, because we recite in the Creed, Christ descended into hell. On the 3rd day, he rose again. What happened during that time? Well, this tells it. He descended into hell, and he raised up Adam and Eve, and everything that went before has been raised up with him. So you get this beautiful white Christ coming down to the depths of hell, and on this particular one, he's holding Adam and Eve by the wrists. Usually, sometimes you see him just holding Adam and Eve beside him and with a hand, but this time I love it because he's really holding by them. So they have no, they can't get free. It's a wonderful feeling of the resurrection. And here behind you've got King Solomon and King David and John the Baptist. One of the hymns on the beheading of John the Baptist in the Orthodox Church says, John the Baptist went down to hell to prepare the way for Christ. And here we get the other various Old Testament people. It can be anybody, just representative of anybody. And then you've got, the gates of hell down into the underworld. And sometimes you get the passion instruments flying around in hell, and sometimes little devils running around. Christ has conquered. Oh, wait a moment. Let's go back a bit. Now this is the myrrh-bearing women. That was the first resurrection icon. And this one, later on, superseded that. So here we get the 2 Marys coming to anoint Jesus, the shroud left, the head part open, and the angel just pointing to it. I think it'd be a lovely icon to do one time, actually. And, saying, why are you looking for Christ? He's not here, he's risen. This is the icon of the Ascension, and you'll see right in the middle there is Mary. That's what you've got to do right in the middle of that icon. Why? Because this is a pre-beginning of the church, and Mary is mother of the church, bringing Christ to birth, is what the church is really all about. So we get her here in the centre, and the two angels behind in white saying, why are you looking up to heaven? This same Christ is going up, it's going to come back down again, will come again, rather, and then the other disciples, Peter there, and sometimes we have Paul, I'm not quite sure he's there. Anyway, the other apostles are there, and always on the icon of Ascension you get this lovely rhythmic mountains and rhythmic olives trees. And Christ is going up in the form in a mandorla, escorted by angels, all because they're dancing. Sometimes there can be 2 angels either side, or 3 angels either side. And this is representative of what we call the Pantocrator, the ruler who is to come. So sometimes you'll just have an icon just of Christ, just like
the Pantocrator.
Pantocrator, yes, one who is to come. Let's go to the next one. This is the icon of Pentecost. It's a bit more vibrant than some of the icons of Pentecost. And when I first saw it myself, I thought, oh, it's not very exciting, is it? It looks rather calm. But this one's got the Holy Spirit coming down in flames. It's rather nice. Sometimes you'll just have, most icons just have this holy little flame on each apostle. And they're in a semicircle, so which represents a very unitive aspect. And what are they doing? They're not chatting, they're listening to each other, slightly with their heads inclined. Reminds me of the thing in Book of Revelation, listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Each listen to what the Spirit is saying to each one. And so you have this beautiful unity of the apostles in a semicircle. At the top you've got Paul, but you say, well, he isn't there. No, the idea is because Pentecost is the beginning of the church. Peter and Paul are the founders of the church. So again, heaven's opening there. This little chap, I'm not quite sure how, but he's come to be known as Cosmos. And he's got, in this little black semicircle, as it were, he's holding a cloth with scrolls on to represent the gospel, to show that the apostles are going to go out to bring light into a darkened world. And here we've got what we celebrate today, known as the Western Church of the Assumption, but I like this one. I'm very fond of this one. It's the last feast of the whole feast in the cycle of the Orthodox Church. So you're starting with the birth of Mary and you're ending with the death of Mary. But she's seated on what would have this would have been a similar image to a very early Christian funeral. So you'll see her lying on this funeral couch. Peter's going round with the incense. Paul is there because, again, this is the beginning of the church, a candle in the centre, and Christ coming down and receiving her, wrapped up into a symbol of her soul as an innocent little child. And it's beautiful. And these almond-shaped mandorla with the angels around, very transparent against this blue, just white, transparent angels getting the blue, and this is the 6-winged seraphim, and the heavens are opening to receive the Mother of God. And James, the first bishop, is there, and other early bishops as well, all there for the funeral. There's a little prologue to this, a little ending to this. All the apostles were there except Thomas. So Thomas came 3 days later. And they told him, they got very excited, and they said, what happened? And he said, well, he wanted to see where, his tomb. So they went to the tomb, opened the tomb, and found it empty. But they heard angels singing, which I think is lovely. I like this because the emphasis on the themes of the hymns go, she who gave life has been received into life. And it's all about Mary giving life and then being received back to life. Hymns are sort of all variations on that theme, very poetic, which I think is you know, beautiful. So that's the end of the festive ones. So thanks an awful lot for coming, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
We did those. Joe has done all this. It's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Do you want to talk about this
Well, this
peace
this is
in Israel?
This is in Israel, where you saw that. He is a wonderful man, Archbishop Elisha Shakur. He has managed to establish in Israel against all odds and ends. I won't go into his whole life story, but he has succeeded in establishing a big, huge campus from kindergarten to primary to secondary, and he wanted to have a university, but the Israeli government allowed him, so it's what's it called, School of Higher Education instead. Against all odds, not only he wanted for Jews, for Druze, for Muslims and Christians, so the children could work and learn and play together from an early age, and to bring peace to Israel. Unfortunately, he's up against an awful lot still, but he's had to fight for it. I remember once saying he had to go, because the northern Israeli government many years ago used to give little donation to the schools, the education establishment. He was succeeding because it was a very high academic qualification they were getting, and one of the best in Israel actually. And so he said he wasn't getting the money that he needed, so he went on his own, faced them all the whatever it was, this